All right, we're back again with another episode, and this would be episode 5 of Ask a Property Manager. Or no?
No, episode 6, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
I think 6, yeah.
All right, we're back on another episode of Ask a Property Manager here with Andrew Schultz. This is episode 6. We were just discussing that because I was wrong when I said it before. But Andrew, thanks again for being on. You're super helpful, a lot of insights. Andrew's an associate broker with Realty Edge, and we'll jump right to it. We got a question here that's from Monica, and what she said is she asked, do you let your tenants do work to your rentals for money off their rent? Handyman, electrical, plumbing, why or why not? What's your take on that, Andrew?
I don't. I don't want tenants fixing. I don't want tenants repairing. I don't want tenants touching, anything that has to do with the actual mechanics or like the painting and stuff. Like, I just don't want a tenant working on the property. The only exception I would say is shoveling, and that's something that I know I had posted actually in the group a couple days ago about that to see what everybody else is doing.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as having tenants do repairs and things like that, I don't want them to. And the reason I say that is because generally speaking, a tenant's not a contractor, a tenant's not a handyman, a tenant's a do-it-yourselfer, and they're going to do it yourself wrong in about 90% of instances. That's how you wind up with paint on your hardwood floors.
Yep.
That's how you wind up with electrical outlets that keep shorting out mysteriously. I just don't. I don't like it when tenants. I don't like it when tenants do work on apartments. I'd rather have one of our qualified, licensed, insured professionals come out and do the work, or myself. I trust myself. I can trust my work. I don't necessarily trust a tenant's work. And I'll be honest with you, I don't even do almost no physical, like, short of changing a doorknob at this point, I don't do a lot of the hands-on stuff anymore. It's just not cost effective based on the number of units we have.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know I had some tenants that I let paint before, and they kind of picked this really dark brown color. I didn't approve it, nor did I ask to approve it. I just said, yeah, sure,
Right.
because it was like my, I don't know, second or third tenant. And yeah, they didn't do a great job. The line on the ceiling was either touching the ceiling or just beneath it, and it just kind of looked, and
yeah, it looked unfinished, unneat. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and I think there's also, like, in marketing, there's something they call, like, market and social norms. So it's kind of like this weird thing that you can cross, because if you have a market norm, it's just they give you money, you give them a place to live. But when you start crossing into trades and other things, then it becomes kind of this social norm more so, and then it just kind of convolutes the water a little bit, where
it blurs the lines, it muddies the water, and I don't. I like a separation there.
Mhm.
It might just be how I am. I don't know. Maybe other people have a reason to let tenants do work on their apartments, but
sure.
it just from preference and liability sake and everything else, I just prefer to have somebody else go over and take care of it.
Well, I think part of it too is, like, let's say they fixed the dishwasher and it would have taken a professional 45 minutes to fix that dishwasher, and it took them a week.
Mm-hmm.
What is that week of work worth? To you, it's probably worth about $100. To them, they might think it's worth a whole month of rent, because how do you quantify it? Because it took them longer.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, and how do you justify a tenant's time? How do you tell them you're worth X number of dollars an hour to me?
Yeah.
It really changes the dynamic of the landlord-tenant relationship in a way that I don't like. So I just don't do it that way.
I feel like I did see somebody post in the group before saying that the moment that you have them doing work on their property, then it's like they're a actual employee and not a tenant. Have you ever heard anything about that before?
I haven't, but I guess I could see, especially in New York State where they take everything so convoluted. I guess I could see that, like, if they're receiving compensation, which they are in the form of reduced rent or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
if they're receiving some kind of compensation, they could either be considered like a contractor or something like that. Then do you have to turn around and 1099 this person if the value is over $600? And
Mm-hmm.
it's not worth it. It's really not.
Yeah, and I feel like I shared this story with you before. Forgive me if I have, but when I was renting myself, I was actually living with my girlfriend, now wife, and we had asked if we could, do a few things to the apartment and to take it off the rent. And then what we were taking off the rent was only the cost of the supplies. It was like $50 of supplies. Put in a dimmer switch, put in a some plastic or caulked a window that was like completely open, painted a door that had pink bleeding through the color pink bleeding through a white door. So just did some of that stuff, and just $50, cost of paint, cost of caulk, cost of the dimmer switch, that kind of stuff. And from there, like the relationship with that landlord just tanked. And it was hard to get back too, and it was really awkward because she had said she's not comfortable with us doing that work, and she can't accept the reduced rent. And this was after she said she was comfortable with us doing the work for and then suddenly over $50, and my girlfriend, now wife's rent was $800 a month. Like over $50, we're sitting there like holding on to this, like and she's feeling the same way too,
Right. No, absolutely.
Yeah, because a lot of times it's not about the money; it's about like the principle. But the principle might be very different depending on your perspective. So,
yeah, absolutely.
And needless to say, after the 1-year lease, we were out of there. So,
well, and that's exactly what I was going to say. Is it turns into a situation where you could be taking a really good tenant and altering that landlord-tenant relationship into something that's no longer desirable by one side or the other or both.
Yep.
And then suddenly you have a tenant moving because they're not happy. You're forcing a tenant out the door because you're not happy. I really don't feel like it's worth it to make that kind of a change to the relationship.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that covers that. And again, thank you for being on here and answering these questions. It's always helpful for myself and for the group and anybody following along on YouTube or in our email newsletter, however you're getting to our content. So thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.